Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Um, okay, we have a full project to do. So today we'll be looking at data cleaning and exploratory data analysis on with with Pandas. So before we go on, we just have to click on your Google Colab, then you'll be at the same page with me. So when you open your Google Colab, just type googlecolab.com, then we'll be at this page. Click on the new notebook. So let it load. Okay, so we want to import our libraries, the pre-recorded libraries on Google Colab, which are import pandas, import pandas as PD. Then we also want to import NumPy for arithmetic operation, import NumPy as MP. Then you also want to import matplotlib, um, matplotlib and Seed1 for your visualization, because we'll be doing a bit of visualization also in this particular training. So when you write all the code, you want to run it, then you give it some seconds, then you can see it's actually running for long. Okay, so we can see we have it loaded already. That means my pandas, numpy, matplotlib, and everything has been loaded. So let's import our data set. So I already have the data set. I've already downloaded the data set on my computer. So I'll just be uploading it into my Google Colab. So if you want to upload your data set, you want to click on this folder file, then you can click on this upload sign here. So when you click on that upload button, I have a couple of them, but I will be using the African Development 1000. I'll be attaching the file to this YouTube description, so you can do well to download it and follow my step. So we'll be on the same page. So African Development 20,000. So what is it about? We'll see it when I load it here. So I want to click on OK. It is already loading here. So we just have to give it some time, then we actually see it there. Okay, so I can see it's already loaded on my computer, on my Google Colab. So now let's add some more cells here. To add more cells, you want to click on this plus code here. So I can see I'm able to add more cells here for coding. So the next thing is I want to read my data set. I want to load my data set into my Google Colab. So when you see something I start with hash or this sign, it means that this is a comment and not a code. So basically that's what I'm trying to do. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to load my data set into my Google Colab. So you want to do pd dot read. What type of data set are we reading? Obviously I know it's a CSV data set, but if you are not working with a CSV data set, you can see we have different type of file. Is it CSV? Is it an Excel file? Is it a feather file? Is it HTML file or JSON file? Or whatever you are doing. But in this particular case, it is a CSV file. So you want to read underscore CSV. So now you want to open your brackets, then you have to add your quotation mark. So it is asking for a directory or a path here. So I do have my file in my Google Colab. So you want to click on this file here. So you click on the three dots here, then you can copy path here. So when you copy the path, you just paste it here, Ctrl V, then click on the load button. So this is actually my data sets. So let's let's yeah, let's start this with TF. So let's run it again. So whenever I load or whenever I call DF, that means I will be able to see my data frame. Yeah. So let's load it. So we can see I can call my data set by just calling df now. So let's understand what the data set mean. So before we actually move on, we are actually supposed to we are actually supposed to add a title here, which was what I forgot. So in this case, I'll just add data cleaning and EDA. Um, Let me just say part one because we will actually be having a part two video down in the course. Okay, now let's move on. So let's understand this particular data set. So we can see we have different data sets here. We have different columns and different rows here. So this data set is majorly on African development. So we can see we have different country here. We have different region of the African country here. And what are their major natural resources? So we can see for Togo, we can see something like agriculture, we can see minerals, and their major export commodity is agriculture for Togo. So the currency they are using, I can only see local currency. In this case, it's not updated. So what type of government type is ruling Togo? So you can see it's actually a unitary state. I actually don't know the meaning, but for Malawi, we can see it's a presidential republic, and then we have a monarchy system too. We have different type of government, and in the second, we'll be looking at it. Also, we have the GDP in billion. That means this is 163 billion, this is 139 billion. Then we have the growth rate of the GDP. We also have the inflation rate, we have the unemployment rate. Then we can see the three dots here. So we also that means there are some hidden columns here. So how do we get the hidden column? How do we see all the columns there? I will be explaining that in a moment. So we also have the Human Development Index. We also have the internet penetration, access to electricity. We have the latitude, we have the longitude, then we have the year of independence. Majorly, it's just describing African continent with some parameters. So basically, that is all about the data sets. But yeah, I've got some data cleaning to do here. So now let's know some information. Let's know more about our data. So we want to say, I want to add a comment um just to document it so it will be easy for you when you are watching this video. So let's know more about my data. So I want to write something like data exploration. So the first thing I want to know is I want to know the number of column and number of columns and row in this particular data set. And that's why I'll be writing df, which signify my data frame, that is my data set dot shape. That is, I want to see how many rows and how many columns are there in this particular data set. So control enter, which is the shortcut of run. Then I can see I have 20,000 rows and 30 columns here. So the next thing I want to do will be, I want to get some information about this. So I can just write df.info. This will give me a general information about this particular data set. So we have df.info, control enter. Then I can actually see I have the information right before me. So the country, I can see it is an object data type, right? And it has 19,703. That means there are some null values in that particular country colon. Then we also have region. We can see there's no non-value there because we have complete 20,000 data values there. So we have some data, we have some null values there. That is some empty spaces there or some empty cell inside our data sets. So now that I know a little about it, so also let's try to describe my data sets. Let's know the minimum, the maximum, stuff like that. So I'll be writing df dot because I want to describe my data frame, that is my data set. So you write df dot describe. So you can see we have the description in just a click. So we can see how many GDP do we have, even though this is not actually we are not supposed to count GDP, but then we have a little bit of description. So we can see the mean GDP is 135 billion. That's the mean GDP of African country. So we can see the STD, we have the minimum GDP, which is 2.63 billion. Then we have the 25th percent, we have the 50%, we have the um, maximum GDP country. So if you want to know which one is this, we'll be exploring our data sets as we go on in this particular video. So we have the maximum GDP here. We have the I think that would be 1,045,000,000,000. So we have different type of information about this particular data set, which we will not be looking will not be looking as okay. Let's continue. Okay. So you can also do something like this. When you are describing, you would notice something. Most of the thing we have description for are the columns with floats or integers. So you can easily confirm this that we can see something like country, we can see region, we can see natural resources, all the columns with object data type. You can see them when you call describe. So how do we get the description of the object column? So the thing what you want to write is df, that is your data frame dot describe. But when you open your bracket, you want to write something like include equals to object. That is, you want to say the object data type, the columns with object data type. So you want to write objects. So you can see now we have our country. You can see in this particular country, we have 19,703 entries of country. We have 20,000 region, which is not a unique count, but they are counting the number of values present in our region column. Also, we have 20,000 resources. We can see we have unique 54 countries, and actually we have 54 countries present in Africa. So that means this particular data set cover all the country in Africa. We also have 5 regions in Africa. We have the 3 natural resources, unique counts. Then you can see we majorly export 20 products in Africa. Then the currency we are using is one. You can fact check that's actually wrong. Then we also have top, which is the first entry or the first rows of data is Burkina Faso. Then you can see the frequency here. So we have some little bit of information about it. So the next thing is I want to check for duplicates because duplicates um duplicates brings balance. And the first thing as a data analyst is you want to remove duplicates in your data sets. So now let's check for duplicates. You can just move your cursor and you can see something like when you move it to the middle, when if you are using Google Colab, you can see if you want to write a code or you want to write a text. So in this particular place, I want to write a text. Instead of using the hashtag, I want to write a text. So I just write, what am I trying to do? I want to check for duplicates. So you just write something like check for duplicates. So let's check for duplicates. You will write something like df df dot duplicate. So it has to be duplicated. So remember, when you run something like this, you will just see false, 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 false. But then you want to know how many duplicate value do you have in your data frame. So that's why you'll be adding some there. Then you open your bracket and close it. So you can see I have 313 rows that are duplicates. So you want to remove that. So how do you remove duplicate value and your or duplicated rows in your data sets? So you want to do something like df, or let me just write something like this, drop duplicates, duplicated row. Let me say duplicated row. So you want to write something like df dot drop duplicates. So you can see duplicates. So I can actually see the change that's been effected here. I can see something like 19,687. That means about 313 rows has been removed, right? So, but if I call on data.shape, just to know how many rows and column do I have left. So data.shape, control enter. Oh, I'm sorry, this is actually supposed to be df. So if I call on df.shape, been infected, I can still see 20,030 rows of 30 column, even though I'm expecting something like 19,687 rows of data. So how do we correct this? So inside these brackets, you want to add something like in place equals to 2, just to make the change to be permanent. So you want to write in place equals to 2. So when we run this now, the change is now, you can rerun this one. The change is now permanent. You can rerun this one, then you can see the change has been affected. We have 19,687 rows of data. So remember the last time we were checking the number of rows, or the we were checking the information about each column. We noticed that some of the data sets are not complete. So let's check it again so you can understand what I'm trying to say, which is data.info. You want to open and close your brackets. So you can see we were actually supposed to have 19,687 rows of data, but you can see in country we have now 19,396. That means there are some data sets, or there are some value, or there are some cells that are empty. And in this particular region, if we don't have the country, if you don't have the values in the country, it is basically useless unless you know what you have to fill it with. So in this particular case, I want to drop the empty rows in the country column. So how do you go about this? So you write df dot. Okay. Okay, let's check for before that one. Let's check for null values. Check for null values. That is the empty space there. So now let's check for null values. To check for null value, you write something like df dot. What are we writing? We want to check for null value. So you write is null. So if you run this, you can see it will return false, 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 false. But you want to check for null value. So you just add some to your data set, which is SUN. So you can see I have some information here. I have country, I have 291 cells are empty. Then in my GDP, I have 1,202. There's actually a way to tackle empty spaces in your data set. But in this particular case, I want to remove all the data set, all the rows that have empty country. So maybe peradventure I can fill this, or if not, I will just leave it like that. So let's continue. So let's add more lines of code. So you want to drop the the empty spaces there. So you want to write something like df dot drop na, open and close your brackets. If I should run this, that means I'll be dropping all the all the null values inside my data sets. Remember, I'm not trying to drop all the null values inside my data sets. I'm just trying to drop the null values present in country column. So that's why you'll be writing something like subsets. That is, don't drop everything, but a subset of it, which is a column. Which particular column are we referring to here? We are referring to the country column. So when you write enter, you can see something like 19,396. So let's click on df dots information. I want to know if any change has been affected. So we have 19,396 here. We also have 19,396 here. That means no change has been affected. So you have to write something like record in place equals to 2. So let's see. Okay. Let's rerun this one again. So we still have 19,396. Okay, maybe there is no null value then. That's what we just assumed there. So now let's move on. So let's check for each data type, even though we can see it. To check for data type of each column, you want to write something like df.dtypes. That is, check for data types here. So you want to add your, oh sorry, am I supposed to add that? No, that was a mistake. Okay, let's run it. So you can actually see all the data sets present in this particular data set here. All the data set type. Sorry, all the data type present in this particular column. You can see our country is object, our region is object, we have the resources object, can see all the data sets, all the data type of each column here. So now let's move on. We are still trying to explore our data. We are still trying to clean our data to make it fit for analysis. Okay. So now let's list all the columns out. So you want to do something like data, I'm sorry, df dot columns. I'm sorry, this one has to be in small letter. So we can see all the columns present in this particular data set. So I guess we have a clean data set. If we look at it now, we have done some little cleaning about it. We have gotten some information about it. We have really not cleaned anything, but we've gotten some information. We've explored a little bit about it. Now let's go to the EDA part of this video. So I'll just write exploratory data analysis. So the first thing you want to look at is you want to recall, you want to look at our data set again. We have some couple of questions. We have a couple of questions to solve actually using our in our exploratory data analysis. But then let's look at the values or our data set again. So we have Togo, we have our country, we have region, we have natural resources, we have major export commodity, we have the currency, we have the government type, and we have some values here. So the first question is return all the countries in this particular data set. Remember the other time we checked and we know we have 54 countries in Africa, and this data set actually contain the values for 54 countries. Now, the question is asking us return, that will be the first question. Return the return all the sorry, return all the countries present in this data set. So how do we solve this type of question? So where can we see our country? We already know that inside this particular data set, we have a column called country. So you want to write something like EF, open your square bracket, then you call on your country. So when you run something like this, you can see you've called the colon, which is df.country. Now it's now asking you that you should return all the countries, even though I've returned all the countries, but you know we are actually supposed to see a unique count of each country. So we don't have a recurrence of Togo many times. So how do we get the unique value? So you want to write something like unique. So you want to write something like dot unique. So this one will list all the data sets without recurrence. So you want to add your square bracket and your normal parentheses. So we can see these are all the countries present in this particular data set. So if you want to check the number of countries, the unique number of countries, so you just want to copy this code. So let's add more lines of cells. So let's copy this code and paste it here. You want to get the unique number of countries. We already know it is 54. So you just add n to this one. So this is more like the number of the unique value. So let's on this one, then you can see something like 54. That means we have 54 countries in this data set, and we've answered this particular question. So the next question we'll be answering will be return all the regions in this particular data set. So that will be question 2. So the same way we'll be looking at it. So where can we get region in our data set? We can see we have a region column here. So you write something like df, then your square bracket, you call on your region. So let's run this. You can see you've called on your region, but then you have to call on the unique values, so you will prevent the occurrence of each region. So you want to write something like dot unique. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 unique regions here. So if we are to count it, yeah, you just want to do something like add n before the unique, which is basically what we've done before. So add n before the unique. So you can do Control Enter. So you can see we have 5 countries there. So now let's move on. What's the third question saying? The third question is saying return all the countries present in each region. Okay, let's continue. So you want to how do we calculate, or how do we return, we answer this question. So it is asking us that return all the countries present in each region. So two things here. We want to get each country present in each region. We have 5 different regions. So for West Africa, I want to know how many countries are in West Africa. For Southern Africa, how many countries are in Southern Africa? So how do we get that? So we already know we have 5 unique region there. So you will start with where can we get all these region? We know there is a specified region colon. So you want to start with calling your colon, which is the region. So you write your region, right? If we should call this, we have different region there, but we want to focus on each country, or on each region, one after the other. So you want to write something like df region equals to. Now you will notice I had two equals to mean it's equal to 1 equals to in real life. So that means return this region when we have something like West Africa. So this particular code name return all the value we have when we have West Africa, when the value equals to West Africa. So we will not be able to see all this Southern Africa. So if I should run this, it will return false, true, false. This true signifies that this particular index 0 has a region called West Africa. But because I cannot see the whole data set here, so you just want to write with df, then write your square brackets, then at the end of the code, add your square bracket again, then Control Enter. So you can see all these are all the countries in West Africa. Okay, so sorry. So we have all the region. These are all the countries present in these are all the data set of the countries present in West Africa. We can see all the region we have here is West Africa. But then we don't want to see everything. We just want to see only the country present in this particular data set. So the country of our interest, the country of interest now is the country. So that will make you add what country, what colon are you looking for? I want to see my country. So you want to type dot unique. Okay, let me just do it one by one. So you can see these are the country that we have. These are the countries present in West Africa. But instead of you seeing the current values of each country, so you want to write dot unique, right? So when you write dot unique, then control enter. So we can actually see all the countries present in West Africa. We have our Togo, we have Mali, we have Mauritania. So if you want to count the number of the country present in West Africa, you just add n before the unique. So when we count add n, so you can see we have 16 countries in West Africa. So, okay. So let me just do down. Let me run this one again. Let me copy this code, Control C, add more lines of code, Control V. So I can add my N here. So we can see we have 16 countries in West Africa, but then we have five different countries, five different regions. So you want to copy this code and just change the region. So instead of West Africa, we have other regions such as Southern Africa. So let's check for Southern Africa, Control C. What's in? Ah, oh, you got the time. No, leaving here very early, like it's 5 by 6:30. Leaving here. Okay. There's a mistake here. You know the distance from here to from school to the place? It's about I checked. Did you check in drive or you Uber? Please check. It's like 36 minutes. It's not far at all. Okay. Okay, I guess I've figured it out. So to count this, let's just copy the code. How many countries do we have in our Southern Africa? So we just want to add N in front of the unique. So control enter, we have 11 countries. And that's how you will do it for all the respective country we have there. Okay, now let's move on. So, okay, the next question, that's question 4. List all the natural resources in Nigeria. Sorry, list all the natural resources. List all the natural resources in Africa. So how do we solve this? How do we go about this question? So you want to look at the data set again. We do have a country specifically for our natural resources. We have various natural resources. So the first thing you want to do is you want to call out this particular column. So let's write so write df, open the brackets. What column do you want? We want our natural resources column. So let's write natural. So if you should run these, then you can see these are all the natural resources that we have. But then agriculture is reoccurring countless times. Then we have some invisible line here, which you can actually see. But then because we want a unique value, we want to know what are the how many natural resources do we have in Africa, and that's why you will adding dot unique. So you will actually have each number or each value to be to be occurring just once. So you write your dot unique, then you add your brackets, your parentheses. So So you can see we have these numbers of what do you call it? This number of natural resources. Yes, thank you. So let's count it. We have to count this number, count all the natural resources we have. You can just do something like n unique. So we have the three natural resources in Africa, present in Africa. So let's go to the next question. Number 5. This is okay. This question is asking us to list all the on all the countries that has gold in our natural resources. So if I should remove this n onto enter, we can see we have gold as our natural resources. So how do we get all the countries that has gold as their natural resources? So the first thing we want to do is we do have we do have a column, a specific column for natural resources. So let's call it out. So we have the natural resources. Now let's call it out. Now we have all of them here. So what do we want to see? We do want to see where we have gold, but we have gold here. We have gold in this index 3. Um, okay, probably there are some golds there because I want to see a value there. So I'm writing something. I'll be writing the code called string code, which is called .str, which means string. When it contains, that is, return all the value that we can see go there. So you write something like dot contains, open brackets. What do we want there? We do want all the data set or all the rows of value that contain gold. So let's write something like gold. So you can see something like false, 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 false. So to actually get the rows of data set, the real data set here, you just write df, then add first square bracket there, and at the end, add another square bracket. So these are all the countries or all the values of data that has gold as their natural resources. You can see we have gold here, we have gold here. Even though Zimbabwe is exporting both gold and platinum, still gold is there, and that's why it is returning gold there. So what's the question? The question is asking for all the countries, that is not all the value. Our column of interest is country here, so you just want to add your country there. That is, I'm not interested in all the columns, but I'm only interested in country, and you add it in your square brackets, so you can add your countries there. Country. So we have countless country here. We have almost 2,210 rows. So because you want to see the unique country, not like you don't want to see Mali, we are coming twice. So you want to see them in unique, you want to see their unique number, their unique value. So you just add dot unique here. I'm sorry, I made a mistake here. So you can see we have Mali, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Sudan, Tanzania, and Ghana are the country that their major resources is gold. So you can do the same other um, for other natural resources. So let's try the same thing for agriculture. So you just write DF natural resources string contains, instead of gold here, it will be agriculture. So control enter. So we can see we have a number of countries. We have Togo, we have Malawi, we have this number of country there. Okay, now let's move on. So now another question is asking us to list all the currency type in Africa. List all the currency. Africa. Okay, I have to comment this one. I have to make this a comment. So you just add your hashtag there. So to list all the currency there, so you just want to call on your currency column, which we do have. So we have something called currency. So let's call on our currency column, control enter. So we can see we only have local currency, that is the stuff is not provided, but you can't tell. So how do we want to call on the unique value? Maybe we have different number, different type of currency in Africa. So you want to write dot unique, sorry, dot unique, yeah, correct. So you can see we are only provided with local currency, that is each currency is not explicitly um, specified. So let's add more lines of code. So question 8 will be list the government types. Sorry, list the most used governments. Now we do know we have different government type. So let's start from there. What are the government type that we have? So the first thing is what colon is talking about or is discussing about government type. So let's call our data set here TF. So we can see we have a colon called government type. So let's call on that colon. So you want to write something like df, open brackets, square brackets, sorry. You have to write government type, right? So when you have something like this, you can just press on your tab key. So control enter. Now I've called on my government type, but they want to know how which one is the most used. But let's see how many government type do we have first. So I can just write something like unique because I want to see the unique values of government type I do have. So I can see we have unitary, we have presidential republic, constitutional monarchy, we have republic. So I want to know how many countries are using unitary state government type, how many countries are using presidential republic, how many countries are using constitutional monarchy, and also for republic and federal republic system, government type system. So that will make us use something we call the group by. So you have to use group by. What are we trying to group? We are trying to group our government's type because we do want to see something like this. Permit me. We do want to see something like this. Government type, governments, right, and and country. So for government type, let's say unitary system. um we have the public system. Let me just be explaining with this two. So country, let's say we have 43 countries using this one and we have 10 countries using this one. Because this thing is not a we are not calling code on just a colon. We have two different type of code and do two different type of colon, which are government type and country. So you want to group by government type, then count by country. Do we get? So now let's do the same thing, which is what we'll be writing here. So we are trying to group by government type. That's why we'll be writing government type here. Government type. So when you go by government type, it's Pandas is notifying you that okay, you've successfully add your group by. So now because I'm interested in countries, which is the next column. So you want to add your square bracket and colon your country colon. If you should have something like this, you can still see something like generic series group by. But what do you want to do? I want to count the unique, how many unique country are operating under each government type, which is why you'll be writing unique, right? So if you had write unique, You can see we have these are the country operating under constitutional monarchy. We have different country operating under federal republic, but then we want to know how many, what are the numbers of each country. So you just add n in front of your unique code, control enter, then you can see for constitutional monarchy we have 10 country operating under that type. So we have for Federal Republic, we have 6 different type of country. For Presidential Republic, we have 14 type. Okay, let's try to arrange this in descending order. So you want to write something like dot sort value. What are we trying to do? We're trying to sort it by just write ascending equals to false. So you can actually see presidential republic is the most used government type in Africa. Then we have unitary states followed by this. So you can actually plot this using different type of graphs or charts. So you can just write something like dots. What are you trying to do? You want to plot a graph, or maybe let's say a bar chart. So you want to write dots plots. What type of thing? What type of plot do you want? What type of chart do we want? We want a bar chart. So you just write kind equals to bar. So if we write this, you can see we have our chart already there. Very easy. And okay, let's do something. I don't like this blue color, so let's change it to red color. So you want to change it to red color, and you write color equals to, let's say teal. I do like teal though. So let's add a teal color there. Okay. Let me just add my normal range. I guess it doesn't understand what's. Oh, sorry. It's supposed to be color. That is the American English of color. Okay. Okay, I can see it there. I can see my red color. Okay, let's write teal. The other teal. The other time I want to write teal. Oh, now I have my teal color here. So this color is very nice. It's presentable. So we have different things. You can also change this plot into horizontal plot, that is your normal bar chart. So you just write bar H. So control enter, then you can actually see your chart in horizontal color. This is actually more presentable. It's very easy to read, this is better. So when you are done with this, you can just write PLT dot title, because you want to give it a title, and Google Colab is already suggesting a title to use, which is most used government type, because I agree with that. So I just want to press on my tab key so I can see something like plt.show, but I'm not done actually. I want to add the y-axis has been labeled already, but I do want to label for my I want to label my y-axis. So you write something like plt dot y label. That's one. Okay, sorry, plt dot y label. So what do we want to add there? Plt dot what label. So these are the government type, and these are the counts of the government type. So we just write counts of the government type there. So you just click on show because we are done. Just write your plt dot show, so to show your values. So you can see we have our most used government type here, which is the title. Why is this not working? Okay, this is my y-axis. So I did make a mistake. It was actually supposed to be X label. Okay, let me just copy this. Control C, Control V. So we have our X label here. So let me just write this one is supposed to be government type. So count of the government type. I think I've corrected it now. So we can see we have the count of the government type, then we have our government type here on our y-axis. Then I can see my title here, which is plt.title must choose government type. Then I can see plt.show just to show my visual. So I have that already. So now let's move on. So we are already nearing the end of this class. So let's look at our data set already. So we want to return, we want to arrange this data set by GDP. Which country has the highest GDP in billion USD? So how do we do that? So you write something like df.sort value because you are trying to arrange sort values. But now, what's the column? What column are we trying to arrange this? So you want to write something like by equals to. Okay. So what country, what column? I think is GDP. So you want to write something like GDP. Okay, let me just copy it. See. So we can see where is it? Where is it? We can see we have 2.63. That is this from the ascending order. But we do want to see the highest country with the most GDP. So you want to write something like inside this bracket, you want to write comma ascending equals to false. Ordinarily, it is pre-recorded to be ascending equals to 2. So you want to write ascending equals to false. So close your bracket, control enter. So we can see we have Uganda as the most GDP. We have $1,045 billion. Sorry, $1,045 billion. So we have Uganda in different years, the values of Uganda in different years. So we want to return let's say we want to return the first 10 country that have the highest GDP. So you just want to add the first 10 rows, sorry. So you just want to add dot edge, how many rows of line, how many rows of data we want the first 10 rows of data. So you can see Uganda has the highest GDP across the data sets. So yeah, this is where we'll be stopping, we'll be ending today's class on data exploration. I hope you do have a bit of understanding about data exploration. If you do like this, click on the like button and the subscribe button. See you next time. Bye.